In this video, we're going to introduce more trig ratios. So in our previous two learning objectives, we used our trig ratios sine, cosine, and tangent, and we used SOHCAHTOA to remember which one is which. I bet for sine, we decided to do the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. But is there any reason that we did opposite divided by hypotenuse and not the other way around? Not really. There's some properties that come up with doing it that way that we'll figure out throughout the rest of the semester, but it's kind of the start. There's not really a reason to divide in that order and not the other order. So we can divide in the other order and we get some new trig ratios. These new trig ratios are written here. So the abbreviations are here, but let's actually write out what they're called. So the first one is cosecant, and that is hypotenuse over opposite, so we're just dividing in the opposite order. Next one is secant, and the last one is cotangent. So these are just three new trig functions. All we're doing is just dividing in the opposite order of our original one. So we have cosecant, secant, and cotangent, and you can see their abbreviations there. All right, so how are we going to remember these three new ones? Because we have these 6 things floating around. We have a really nice way of remembering the first 3. That's our SOHCAHTOA. You could remember this one as cho, sha, cow. That's not how anyone remembers these other ones. So instead, the way we remember these ones is just remember that they're related to the original 3. All right, so cosecant is h over a, but sine is o over h. So cosecant and sine are kind of pairs. Secant is h over a, which is the opposite of cosine, which is a over h. And cotangent is the opposite of tangent. It's a over o instead of o over a. All right, so if we remember the pairs that go together, you're basically just remembering SOHCAHTOA and their pairs rather than remembering 6 different things. So the way I remember it is that tangents like each other. All right, so cotangent and tangent are opposite of each other. And the other ones are the kind of exact opposite of what you would think. You would think cosine and cosecant would be partners, but they're actually not. So I think the cos do not go together. So cosecant is actually paired up with sine. Cosine is actually paired up with secant. And this is actually how I remember it every single time I have to do it. If I have cosecant, I say that has a co in front of it, so its partner does not. If I have secant, that does not have a co in front of it, so its partner does. All right, so that's how I remember the pairings that go with each one. And again, just remember tangents like each other, so they are opposites of each other. All right, so for this problem, I'm going to find cosecant, secant, and cotangent. The first thing is we're missing a side, so we have to do the Pythagorean theorem to figure out what this missing side is. All right, just do this really quick. We've done it in a few other videos. 35 squared is 1225. 21 squared is 441. All right, x squared is going to be 1225 minus 441 is 784. Take square roots, and x is going to be the square root of 784, 28. All right, so our missing side is 28. All right, so just like before when we were doing our original trig ratios, we have to have all 3 sides so we can do all the ratios. And now I'm going to write down SOHCAHTOA because that's going to end up helping us. All right, so if I want to find cosecant of k, cosecant, because it has a co in front of it, is related to sine. So if sine is opposite divided by hypotenuse, cosecant is just the opposite, hypotenuse divided by opposite. Our hypotenuse is 35. Opposite from k is 28. Both those are divisible by 7, so I'm going to get 5 over 4. All right. Secant's next. Secant does not have a co in front of it, so it's related to cosine. If cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. And the hypotenuse is 35. Adjacent side is 21, and this simplifies to 5 over 3. And the last one is cotangent. Cotangent related to tangent. Tangent's TOA, O divided by A. So cotangent is the opposite, A divided by O. All right, and adjacent side's 21, opposite side's 28, and we get 3/4. All right, so we basically did this exact same problem in the first learning objective of this unit. The only difference now is we just basically took all of these fractions and flipped them. All right, so just remember cosecant related to sine, secant related to cosine, cotangent related to tangent. All right, nothing really that new other than just this new definition for these three new trig functions. All right, so this is when we're going to find sine of A and cosecant of A. So sine of A, all right, we have our angle A. We have the opposite side and the hypotenuse. And that's convenient because when I find sine of A, sine is so, opposite over hypotenuse. I already have all the information I need. I just do 10/26, and that is 5/13. And next I want to do cosecant of A. Cosecant is just related to sine. It's the partner of sine, so we just take sine and flip it. So our answer is 13/5. Now you don't have to do anything else. It's just the opposite of the sine function. So if I have an answer for sine, I just flip it and I get the answer for cosecant. And in this problem, I'm going to find cotangent of z. So if I want to find cotangent of z, and z is here, cotangent of z. Oh, and I just noticed this is one for you to try on your own. So go ahead and try this one on your own, and then I'll finish it after we come back. And the answer you should get is 5/12. So the first thing is you have to use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out your missing side. Our missing side ends up being 5. And then cotangent is partners with tangent. Tangent is TOA, opposite over adjacent. So cotangent is going to be opposite, adjacent over opposite. All right, the adjacent side's 5, the opposite side's 12, and we get our final answer of 5/12. So for this learning objective, you're going to do a skill check. And the skill check, you're going to be given one right triangle, so it's going to be kind of one picture. And you have to determine 3 different trig ratios. One of them is going to be the original SOHCAHTOA, all right, so a sine, cosine, or tangent. All right, so remember SOHCAHTOA. And the other 2 are going to be 2 of the new ones. All right, so just know if you have to do cosecant, that's related to sine, secant's related to cosine, cotangent's related to tangent. All right, so you just have to kind of remember that relationship and the original SOHCAHTOA. I put all that together to do this skill check. But there's practice problems available to you, so you can practice before the skill check as well.